What's up, Rumors Are True podcast? This is Joey Svensson. You may remember me from Bad Christian or Pastor with No Answers podcast, and I've got some pretty killer news. Me, my brother Jared, and your favorite podcast host, Jeremy Gould, the one delivering to you the episode you're about to listen to, started Roster Music Club. In the last 3 months, club members have enjoyed 6 online performances by some of the very artists you and I love, including Gyro from Mortal, Bill from The Throws, and Ted from Craig's Brother. We've had a couple of hangouts, have established our club's top 10 tooth and nail albums, and we started a war. That's EP Wars, 16 of the greatest EPs going head-to-head in a tournament until we crown the victor. We've been supplying curated playlists. There's a private podcast feed with extra content, and videos of everything that's ever happened in the club is yours when you join. In upcoming months, we're doing a deep dive on all things Radiohead, and as I speak, 3 musicians are listening to the club's top 10 tooth and nail releases, albums we've enjoyed for 30 years. These artists that I rounded up, they're listening to these albums for the very first time, and I can't wait to hear how they react. The Starflyer 59 Silver, Living Sacrifice Reborn, Life in General by MXPX. Hearing these albums for the first time. So we're going to talk to them for a live event, and it'll be released on the Roster Music podcast that you should be listening to if you like this podcast. Hey, the club is free to try for a month, then $10 a month from there on out. And I'll tell you this, not a club member has left since joining, so it's worth every penny. Support the club and this show by joining with this code.
RUMORS. That spells rumors.
Hey, we can't wait to see you there. Rostermusic.club. Go there now and join.
Hey, this is Kevin Clay of My Little Dog China, Soundtracks for Wasted Youth, and Orthodox Outcast. You're listening to the Rumors Are True podcast.
Welcome, this is Jeremy Allen Gould, and I'm coming to you today to confirm between God and of man that the rumors you have all heard are true. I started this podcast to have a platform for the bands and artists that I've worked with in the past, as well as new musicians and artists that influenced myself and many others. The Rumors Are True podcast is an opportunity for the artists to tell their story their way. I'm still in the business of confirming rumors. I still love a good conversation, and I still freaking love music. So thanks again for joining me on this journey, and I hope you like what you hear. With that said, the rumors are definitely true. Hey, welcome to this latest episode of the Rumors Are True podcast. My name is Jeremy, and today I welcome Phil Schlotterer and Jimmi Florez, the other half of the band DigHayZoose. Awesome conversation with Phil and Jimmy. So stoked to have them on this podcast to hear their perspective of the band of the past and, of course, their upcoming future. So I hope you enjoy this latest episode with Jimmy and Phil from DigHayZoose. Phil and Jimmy, what is up, my friends? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Hey,
absolutely.
Glad to do it.
Absolutely, guys. I'm super stoked to have you guys on. It's had Bill and Dave on recently and heard their perspective. So I'm really interested and excited to hear your perspective on your band DigHayZoose. It's really cool, again, to have you guys on. So I really appreciate it. Tell me what's going on in your world, guys. Currently, let's go, Jimmy. Let's go with you first. What's new in your world?
Well, I've been working as a registered nurse diabetes educator for quite a while now. That's kind of my main thing, but been playing in a couple bands around town, basically doing more cover type music. But the cool thing about the bands I'm playing in is it doesn't require really any practice because we all know so many songs that we can just show up. In fact, one of the bands I play in is basically a musical jukebox. So
cool.
People request songs on a sheet, and we take them and play them. And if there's a song that we don't know, we'll find one by the same artist and play it. So no two shows are the same, which I think is pretty awesome. It's fun. We play a lot, different places, which I enjoy. So that's kind of how I get my music fixed. But being so busy all the time, it's just hard for, practice. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So
totally. Where do you typically play in Lawrence?
We haven't really played around Lawrence much. More Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
We play in the Ozarks every year. We play a lot in the Ozarks.
Very cool.
And that kind of stuff.
What's your band name?
One of them is the Troubadour Retrievers.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
And the other one is Front Street.
Very cool.
Which is more of a traditional, set, type of band where you have 4 sets, whatever, the same tunes and whatnot.
Very cool.
But
very cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome. Well, at least you still have your musical outlet, at least, and
yeah,
sometimes a good cover band's always a fun time. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Very cool. Phil, tell me what's going on in your world, man.
I've been selling windows. I've got 3 kids that are growing up, and
crazy.
19-year-old, 17-year-old, and those are my girls, and 14-year-old boy, and they're all doing their thing. They're both good artists. The girls got to go to Europe this summer, which was awesome for them.
That's rad.
Then, I'm just working the old 8 to 5, just selling windows to contractors. And then, I played music off and on through the years. And it's funny because I just, for a little while, I played drums at Bill's church. And that was a couple of years ago. And and that was a great thing, kind of like what Jimmy's talking about as far as, you got 4 new songs a week. And so, it was kind of like a going back to proving to myself I could still do it type of thing, part of it,
Yeah.
And then a good friend of mine that I played with in bands, you're talking about earlier bands. This is like high school age band, this friend of mine. And we started playing music about 6-7 months ago. It's called Blind Sight, and we're doing like 70s, 80s, 90s, like Christian covers,
cool.
like trying to catch all the stuff that you would want to see or want to hear. Petra, Michael W. Smith, You just think of all the biggies, and we're trying to get, Res Band,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Striper, just anything that kind of grabbed from that, what grabbed us, and
Yeah,
then we actually ended up doing some original stuff too. So I've got like 4 original songs that I'm doing live
that's
with
crazy.
that, and it's been a long. I mean, some of these songs are old, but it's been a while since I've actually got to work them all out and stuff. So that's been awesome.
Very
Uh,
cool.
that's kind of what's current with me anyway.
That's
But
awesome. I love hearing that, guys. Let's talk about growing up for you guys. You kind of alluded to that, the music part of, the past for you. Maybe bring me through some of those bands, some of those influences, some of those records, some maybe even concerts that kind of pushed you guys in the direction that you guys individually went. We'll continue with you, Phil.
okay. Um, well, music is something I think was, it's part of what you do. Growing up, my mom started with piano lessons, and I half did them, half not. Got a good, kind of got my ear from there. And then 6th grade hit, and they had marching band, so I got a drum. And then I started getting serious about playing drums and started kind of trying to teach myself that stuff. And, that's 12, 13, 14, right in there. And then, that's when all the metal was out. I was trying to grow my hair out. This is, 1980, 80 through 85, right in
Mm,
there. And
yeah,
so, pick your band, who's the one that's in your heart. Um, and we tried to start bands. Uh, Dion is somebody I grew up next to and played
yeah.
music with him. Um, his dad had a band called J.D. Tyler and the Boogieland Express. And so we would
That's
go
awesome.
as 10-year-olds and go watch them practice and then go to the VFW halls. They did like country, 50s, Elvis, Waylon, and it was cool. He's a big dude. He played bass, had a real low voice. He did all the Johnny Cash. And so, that's kind of some of like the real life versus even the radio. And, everybody remembers WHB, listened to a lot of 50s as a kid. I remember making tapes off the radio too. That's kind of
Yeah,
where I
yeah.
came from.
That's cool. They're very cool. Did I know you mentioned some of that early stuff. When did you kind of get into the heavier stuff? I know because obviously metal was an influence on you guys. So where did that kind of come from?
Well, and there's a big battle being, I was raised, my parents are really strong Christians. And so that's something I grew up in, was very sheltered. And so I started reaching out and started listening to Christian stuff that was heavier, and this is young. But then, like, I started liking, like, Def Leppard and, all that stuff, sort of Quiet Riot.
I love that stuff.
My 6th grade birthday, I got Paranoia, and I got Mental Health. And, I
Nice.
was like, oh, I felt bad, but I just still wanted to listen to him anyway. Uh, but anyway, that's, kind of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jimmy, bring me through some of those beginning records and influences for you as well.
Yeah, as early as I can remember, maybe around 5, 6 years old, from like, I guess I must have saw Kiss on TV or something before, and I was like, that's what I want to do,
Yeah.
seeing all that
Yeah.
craziness and everything. And I, of course, thought Peter Criss was just the best drummer in the world. And, I had I tell people sometimes, maybe Phil, I told him this before, I had a dream, back, I don't remember, I was maybe 7, 8 years old, where I was at a Kiss concert and they called me up to play drums,
Yeah.
Wow.
with Kiss, and I'll be like, right on. But that sort of was inspiration for me. And one of my mom's friends, her son had a Ludwig drum kit, and I went over there a couple times, and of course was showing interest because all I wanted to do was bang on him and whatever. And he gave me a practice pad and taught me my first rudiment.
Yeah.
I was probably maybe 10, 11 years old.
Very cool.
Very
And
cool.
that's what got me into playing drums. I didn't really have a drum kit, for quite a while before that. But My influences as far as music were concerned was basically my brother, who was all into, Led Zeppelin and
Yeah.
Black Sabbath and Rush and Allman Brothers, Eric Clapton. I mean, all these bands that, I was exposed to at a younger age. And he actually, which I'm sure it was probably more him, his serving himself more than me, but we get allowance, or I'd get an allowance every week, and we'd go to the record store, and he'd
Oh yeah.
show me which records to buy. But I'm sure it was because he wanted to listen to them
Yeah. And he
too,
didn't want to pay for
So
them.
Oh yeah.
like my first album, I think one of my first albums that I got was Led Zeppelin 2.
Oh,
I
nice.
think that's one of the first ones I remember actually buying with my own money. And
Any 8 tracks?
no, we got vinyl,
We were way behind.
the whole time. And you know, Fleetwood Mac Rumors album, I remember
Great
getting
record.
that,
Yeah.
and Pink Floyd Animals, and I remember getting Frampton Comes Alive, and I was like 9 years old. I got my first record player, for Christmas, and then I was kind of off and running with all
That's
the
awesome.
music I want to listen to. But and Van Halen came up, and all that kind of stuff. So I was really kind of entrenched in the hard rock, and then
Sure.
ongoing into metal
Yeah.
at a pretty early age. But I didn't really start playing drums until middle school. And I played viola for a long
Oh,
time. I
cool.
played viola for like 10 years, but so I was pretty proficient. But I got to where I was able to play in the band with playing drums, and which I thought was pretty awesome. So I started doing that. And then, of course, kind of like Phil, marching band in high school and all that, and
Yeah.
jazz band. We actually had percussion class, and where you got to work on rudiments and things. And so all that to say, yeah, I went through a lot of formative years learning and kind of honing sort of
Yeah.
how to play it correctly and stuff. But didn't really get into bands, a band, until later on, till I was probably maybe 19, 20, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you guys, bring me through some of those early bands, the precursor to DigHayZoose. Go ahead and continue, Jimmy, and then we'll go to you, Phil.
All right.
Yeah, my brother was a guitar player. He noodled around on guitar. He kind of liked to practice some stuff here and there, like there's that band Mountain,
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi Queen. I
Yeah.
remember that tune. He played some
Great
of
song.
that, and some, Led Zeppelin here or there, some Black Sabbath, stuff like that. But he would have one of his friends would bring their drum set over and would end up leaving it. So I would go around, tinker around on it some, and then he started playing, and I think there came a time at some point where he realized that uh, it wasn't just a little noodling around session for me. It
That
was
you
like I
had
was
it.
really learning to play,
Yeah, that you could play.
and I kind of went beyond where he was. I think he kind of at first was kind of upset about it because he thought, oh, we're gonna have the Florez band where he's gonna play guitar, But I did that. But getting into as far as playing, I played at church a lot. I went to a Pentecostal church for quite a while and played drums there almost every week. And then that's when we heard, you probably have heard of the whole gathering, the crusade gathering where
Yeah.
everybody, you might have already been around it even then. But that's where we started really getting more people who were kind of like-minded as
Mm-hmm.
far as wanting to get into music and stuff. And before that, one of my friends, Dan Gwynn, was a guitar player, and he was kind of into like Queensryche and that kind
Oh,
of
cool.
stuff. And
Yeah.
of course, all of us sort of were in some sense, but he really started like writing tunes that were sort of in that vein, and so we got together and started, did a couple songs with a couple, another person maybe from the Crusade area, the things, and then Phil, of course, came in, and he was actually the singer for the band briefly until, it was kind of I guess it kind of lived its life, and that's when DigHayZoose sort of started taking off
Right.
Okay.
there, or at least all of us sort of got together and decided
You want to
that
go
we
that
would
way?
jam at least,
Yeah. Cool, Phil. Let me hear your side, and then we'll get into DigHayZoose.
Well, I'm trying to think back. With Dion next door, we had stuff that we had started, and it was all, it's a dream in your head, and you're still a little kid.
Sure.
So we had, like one of the band's name was Armor, which is from Ephesians
Mm.
6, put on the full armor. And then after that, it permuted into this, it's called Crystal Rose, which
Mm.
it's, I've got, there are recordings of these things.
Oh wow.
Dion has some of it. Uh,
Jeremy, you know who
Yes,
Dion
I
is,
do. I
right?
had the hot
yeah.
pink turtle on. Yeah,
And he's
Okay,
absolutely.
playing
okay, okay,
bass. I
cool.
was not singing, I was playing drums. And then
Yeah.
we had a couple different singers that came in. Al Bickley sang, who was a friend of ours from back then, for Crystal Rose. And then um, what was the thing that we did with Cubbage and Kenny? Remember that?
Yeah,
But I
I,
think I was playing drums,
you might have been
and
playing
that was
with them.
short lived too. That was like
It
four
was, yeah.
practices.
That was before they did like the airborne and all
Yep,
that stuff, right?
or right
Yeah,
in between. I don't know. And
right
then
around there.
So I was playing drums, and I ended up with meeting Dave and Bill. Bill, I met just beforehand. I knew him, and then I ended up playing drums for his family gospel band called Sweet Spirit.
Oh yeah, I remember him
And
saying that.
that
Yeah.
is Bil Brown and Zoop, who they're out playing rockabilly type stuff now, which are, they were friends like me and Dion. Like since they were 10 years old, they've been close. And so that developed with me and Bill. It started stacking up, and then we ended up. It was me, Dave Anderson, and then what's his name, Benji, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
Benji.
uh, and Eric Brown, of course, was singing lead, and that was called "Degradation of a Nation." It was punk thrash type
Mm.
stuff. And then that evolved. Benji quit, the bass player, and then Bill stepped in. And so I was playing drums, and Bill was there, and then Dave Anderson's there. And somehow we went into. I started singing more. Like over the summer, I bought Operation Mindcrime, and it stayed in the deck of
Oh,
my car.
nice.
And I tried my best to sound as close to him as I could. Of course, I was mostly an utter failure, but it did help me improve a lot. And then, so that's kind of set up that summer, really set that up. That would have been
Yeah.
89 into
Well, the
90.
band, yeah, the band that you and Bill and I and Dan were actually in that,
Right,
the
right.
band Chancellor's. I forgot that Bill, the one live gig we played, Bill was the bass player.
That's
Uh,
right. That's
yeah,
right.
at the skate, Fun Time Skate.
Right
That's
on.
So,
awesome.
Playing the
That's
old
amazing.
skates. Yep, that's right.
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about the beginning of DigHayZoose. You kind of both alluded to it. Bring me through the beginning of that time. What maybe
Go ahead,
the
Jimmy.
influence that you guys thought, maybe the route you guys wanted to go musically, and I want to hear your perspective on how the band name came about.
Yeah. Well, I think during that time we were talking about all the music influences and things. That was when the shift began in music. When you started hearing Jane's Addiction and
Sure.
Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Pearl Jam.
Soundgarden,
So, yeah,
Pearl
it's
Jam,
right then.
Nirvana. That obviously kind of piqued our interest, or mine anyway, for sure. Because then I was like, you know what, this metal, stuff is cool, but this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like hearing, Louder Than Love, from Soundgarden and stuff. We're like, wow, this is freaking amazing,
Yeah.
And then it sort of changed taste or style or genre in some sense, where we kind of wanted, that's kind of where we wanted to go, where I wanted to go, and musically. And at the time, I guess we were at like a crusade meeting or something. We were kind of all hanging out, and that's where you kind of bounce ideas off each other. And I believe that was when we had sort of our little meeting where Dave and Bill and Phil and I just hung out and hit it off a little, talk about ideas and things. And from what I can remember anyway, I mean, that's then decided that we were going to have like a jam session and sort of see how it goes,
Yeah.
over at Phil's house.
What was that like the
Is
first
that
time?
sort of what you remember,
Oh
Phil?
yeah. And then I know because I remember telling the story with being with DigHayZoose back then. It's like we got together and we had 5 practices, and in 5 practices we wrote 5 songs,
It's
and we
crazy.
sent that to Brainstorm people, and they picked us up.
That's pretty insane.
It's the
That
Lord. He
quick.
did
Yeah,
what
I
he wanted to
remember.
do, and he let us be artists, and we praised him through the whole thing, and he just set it up.
Well, it was that one guy in St. Louis. Well, who was that guy that got a copy of the tape? Um,
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
He played it on his show and whatever, and that was when we kind of got more interest from a few labels, actually, I
Very
think,
cool.
um,
Where did the
and
band name come from?
uh, Bill Bill graduated with an art degree from William Jewell. I actually have an art degree as well, so we did a lot of drawing and hanging out, and sketching and markers and just goofing around a lot like that. And we were trying to come up with a band name, and I don't. He was talking about one of his friends, and he was Hispanic or something. I don't know. And he goes. And the guy said, "I dig Jesus." He goes, "Hey, dig Jesus." That is such. And then we spelled it goofy like everybody did in the '90s, and that
Sure.
kind of helps. I think that helps a little bit too. I don't want it to be too
Absolutely.
heavy.
It
But
stood
yeah,
out for sure.
that was Bill, basically me and
Yeah.
Bill, but Bill mostly.
That's awesome. Well, you alluded to the 5 song demo that you put. What was that like recording those first couple songs? And did you guys feel like you had something pretty unique and special?
Lake Lotawana. Well, and the only recording experience that I had was DON before that. Dave was kind of like, he sort of uh, bulldozed that a little bit, made sure things happened. He was really good about setting stuff up and getting things rolling and all that. And so we recorded
hmm
Degradation of a Nation. It really turned out pretty good for what it was. And then, so getting this set up, we had to figure out where we're going to try to do this demo. And we ended up going to Brian Fitz.
Yep, Brian
Yeah,
Fitz.
off of Lake Lotawana, and so he recorded
hmm
us, and it was, it
Was
turned
it
out
what you
really
wanted
cool.
it to sound like? Yeah, did it sound like what you wanted, the way you wanted it to?
Uh, I think it's you're learning too, and so it's like as you're doing it, you're like, this is great. Now I might go back now and say this needs work, but you know what I'm saying. At the time when we're developing, you're like this
Yeah,
flower is growing
totally.
right in front of you. It really was good, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, yeah. It was a pretty, I think, pretty amazing experience. So overall, where felt like we were uh, sort of gelling as a band, but also as
Oh yeah,
friends.
Yeah.
We just learned a lot about recording in general, but Brian was really cool because he allowed us to sort of do whatever we wanted to do. I mean, it was our songs and stuff. It's not like we were guided by a label or anything, but I think it was a, a very creative time, very creative
yeah.
process. And then we were doing some things
Yeah.
that
Well, and
uh, we felt were really that had not been done before,
stood
as
Oh,
up.
far
It
as
stood up.
100%.
It stood up with
yeah,
what was out there.
Yeah.
And
You guys were definitely between you guys and Hot Pink Turtle, you guys were definitely there's
I
not many
think one
bands
of
that
the
sound like you
things too,
guys.
yeah, I think for us too, that we had so many secular band influences, you know, collectively that, and we also saw the alternative in a lot of, especially more mainstream Christian music and stuff, and
Hmm.
we wanted to be more, I guess, in that vein of like the brainstorm artist stuff, 77s, Adam Again,
Adam
and
again,
Yeah.
because we knew
scattered
they
few.
seemed like they had more
Yeah.
integrity, and they just, they weren't sellouts,
Yeah.
and that was kind of what we wanted, and we wanted to make, like Phil said, we wanted to make music that you could look back on and really sort of uh, still have a vibe,
Yeah.
that you didn't go back and listen to, and like, yeah, I mean, that was good, but I mean, just like some of these um, metal bands, this all the processed, drums and
Yeah.
stuff, from the 80s and stuff that you kind of don't really like to listen to, just even because of, sounds dated. Well, and I know that I'm saying that, but I know that our music, in some sense, sounds dated a little bit because we were wearing our influences on our sleeve a lot too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
With
that's true.
you know, so
Yeah.
I don't think we were really derivative. It was just we were fans, dude. We loved that music and we made that music. It came out of our pores,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned
And
Brainstorm, and that kind of happening. What was that like? Getting a record label that was interested in you guys. I mean, was that exciting? Were you guys pumped? Was there any other labels you were trying to get on?
well, I know that we were looking at Wonderland was interested in us, and they were based out of Chicago,
Yeah,
and they had their studio in a great big Masonic temple that they had bought out there. It was all
that's
old, and
awesome.
that place was a trip. And then I don't know who else was. I mean, it was them and Wonderland. Was there anybody else? Was
well, one of the things I think that kind of helped was we went down to Nashville to GMA week uh,
yes.
one time. You know, we I think we had gotten some interest from Wonderland and Brainstorm before that, but when we went down to the GMA
Hmm.
convention, um, and really got to meet a lot of the people and stuff, uh, from like R.E.X,
Sure.
Oh yeah, R.E.X.
so Kurt from Believer
Yeah.
was like the A&R dude for R.E.X. So that was kind of how I met him. And we played at the Cannery. I remember we played a show at the
Oh, nice.
Cannery, and that's when we actually met uh, Joe
Gene.
Taylor, um,
Gene was
and
there
I
too.
believe, yes, and we I wonder if that was sort of when we solidified more of the sort of, yes, Brainstorm is kind of the
The
label
way
that
you
we
want to go
want.
ahead. Yeah.
We did have I remember meeting somebody from Reunion also.
That would have been
Yes.
interesting.
Um, and I thought, wow, that'd be kind of cool because they're a bigger label and, get better tour support and whatever. But because they're like, yeah, that's Michael W. Smith's label, but
Well,
um,
they did have the prayer chain, but they also, didn't
yeah,
really wind up knowing
we
what to do with them.
we
And those
met
guys were cool.
DC Talk. I
Great
met the
guys.
guys from DC Talk there,
Very
and
cool.
kind of made a little bit of a relationship with them at that time
We met
because I
Steve
thought, well,
Taylor there.
maybe
Remember that?
what's that?
We met Steve Taylor there. Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was after the gig
But
right then. He was out in the
I want to
we were
say
out
that that was kind of the beginning of what we're, before Brainstorm. But I think we all sort of said, yeah, if Brainstorm offers that, we're kind of wanting to take that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
Phil,
about right,
Yeah,
Phil?
that
yeah, go
sounds
ahead,
right.
Phil.
Yeah.
Was that the fact that you're going to be on a record label, did were you guys like we're going to take over the world? Was that just kind of I know
Oh,
that
it was
sounds kind of
great. Yeah.
goofy.
Well, if you
Yeah.
kind of think about it too, it's a little bit past the time. It's like, your mid 90s or, early 90s. the record label thing was not happening for people anymore. They were really doing it mostly on their own. Like I remember one of the bands going out and selling 80,000 records to get interest, so they get somebody to pick them up.
It's crazy.
So it's just there's a lot of changing stuff. I mean, that's something we look at here for the last 30 years, is how technology has changed too. But if we would have if we would have been a little more involved technology wise, I think it would have been a different level for us.
Sure.
But that's all what it is.
Well, let's talk about the first record on Brainstorm that you guys put out, StruggleFish. How long after you signed did you guys start to work on that record, and kind of bring me through thoughts and memories of recording that record?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy. Let's go with you first.
Well, the demo that we had, of course, I think most of those songs actually ended up on the record, except for like Ghost, right?
Yep.
Which we wanted Ghost on there, but they thought, being a record label, that it'd just been too different, and people may not really like it. But that was one of my favorite songs,
too.
actually. But
emotionally,
we wrote, I think, pretty prolifically there for a bit before we actually even went out there, because we had quite a few songs. Because we recorded them and then would send them off so they could, listen and evaluate and see kind of which ones maybe would be a little more interesting.
And these are just like boombox recordings. They're just taping the room, so they can hear them.
Yeah, we had we weren't the first 5-song demo was the only real studio stuff. The other stuff was like, these are our ideas, this is what we kind of want to do, and but by the time we got out there, we had really good, fairly finished, polished even songs. Now we got to, of course, practice a few times. We actually recorded at Pachyderm.
Oh yeah.
Was that Phil?
Oh, I think he's on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We recorded Pachyderm, which was John, the Elefante people, which I thought was pretty amazing. One thing I will say is that one Brainstorm, or it was Broken Records, switched to Brainstorm. We didn't, or I didn't realize as much at the time, as that they were more of just a production label. They weren't really, they weren't going to give us, any kind of tour support, which is one of the things that a lot of bands needed back then. But they were trying to cut corners as far as how much money in the budget to make the record, and they were not wanting to pay for me to come out there to play drums to record, because they were trying to save money. So they're like, well, all you guys can come, but we're trying not to have, spend too much money. So they were going to have another like studio drummer come in and play my parts. And the credit to all the guys is that, they said absolutely not.
Yeah, they went to bat for you.
Either Jimmy's going to come out and we're going to do this, or, we're not going to do it. And so they, I guess, reluctantly agreed.
Unbelievable.
But we made it out there, and one thing I thought was, I guess I was really starstruck and was like fanboying over, was when we got to go watch Adam again practice.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was just like nervous and excited at the same time. And then of course, Gene, being one of the owners of the label, they're like, oh yeah, so I know you guys are out here to record, what tunes you got, you want to play something for us. And we're all okay. So we played one or two of our tunes, and I was like, man, I feel so stupid there with John Knox, one of my favorite drummers,
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sure I didn't do that great, but it was a fun time, and just the whole recording process, I would say for me, was an eye-opening experience
Yeah.
because we had negotiated, I guess, our manager at the time sort of negotiated to have Terry Taylor produce our
Yeah.
record. And But we had Ojo Taylor was the primary engineer, and what I didn't realize is that he's deaf in one ear and couldn't hear out of the other.
Yeah.
By that time, and he's trying to get drum sounds and things. And I recall that I was pretty frustrated because I used actually John Knox's drum set. He had a really nice Gretsch kit,
Oh, nice.
um, and getting bass drum sound and stuff. Like if you listen to uh, Adam again, Homeboys, you know, that's kind of the drum sound I thought that we were going to get.
Oh.
And when it came out, or I think that because Joe had that hearing deficit, he could hear more higher frequencies.
Mm.
So I think if you listen to the record, you'll notice that there are a lot more sort of higher frequencies and mids.
Okay.
But for the drums, more specifically, bass drum, just presence isn't there as much,
Mm.
because I think that kind of was sort of shaded by Joe's hearing. Because
Mm.
I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. Obviously, I didn't know what how to get sounds and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I remember they had Gene come in and kind of fumble with it for a couple, maybe an hour or something, and got a little bit better. But that's sort of my perspective anyway. I still have a little bit of uh, problem hearing the drums on there, because I
Oh,
thought they
yeah.
could sound better. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how do you feel about how did you feel about the record then? I mean, I know you're kind of alluding to not being stoked on the way it sounds, at the time, but how did you feel, or I guess now, but how did you feel when you heard it done? Were you excited? Were you stoked?
Yeah, I think when we were hearing the rough mixes and things like that, I think they were uh, for me. I was excited because we're getting actually something out. To
Totally.
um, uh, a lot of hard work went into it, obviously, and um, but for me, I still always, even now, even from then, the drum sound to me just isn't all that it could
Mm-hmm.
be or could have been. Um, so, uh, however, I think the songs themselves are overall very well written and good uh, good songs with really good ideas and a lot of innovation, I think. And like I said, we kind of wore our influences on our sleeves, so you can really hear a lot of
Yeah.
Jane's Addiction, you know, Chili Peppers and whatnot, and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, it's your first opportunity in a studio. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you probably wouldn't want to go back and change, but I think it's a first great record for you guys, and just being able to like you said, have something out there, something
yeah,
that
I hear a lot. I hear from people who really like the record, and so I try to temper my sort of cringe at the drum sound, so I don't say that to them, because you try to, because I mean, I'm not trying to downplay or you know say anything bad about the record, because I still believe it was a really great creative accomplishment for us.
sure.
But for myself anyway, the drum sound is just a kind of an odd thing. But everything else, I think, on that record sounds pretty stellar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Terry was involved with it. That I think that really helped.
Totally.
Um, but I remember recording. We got the bass and the drums down together, for the most part. So all the things when we recorded everything uh, with bass and drums to get those set. And so I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then we, seemed like it took a while to get all the mixing and everything. And that was when we went to, before it came out, we played, I think maybe the first time at Cornerstone.
Oh, cool.
I think,
Yeah.
maybe. But anyway, I'll let Phil take
Phil,
over.
bring me through StruggleFish from your eyes and your perspective.
Oh, it was just, I don't know. It's an amazing time. I mean, it's when you're working with people, it's like one of the things you have to make sure is that they know how far to push something until it's really getting good. And I think everybody, what we had is all four of us were serious artists, and we weren't going to take just whatever. It had to be good. And I think we pushed ourselves for that first album, and even better for the second album. I know, like before Magenta, they're like, okay, you've got a week before you come out here. I want you to write like 7 or 8 songs and bring them out. And 3 of those songs in that week made it on the record. So
Crazy.
It was something that he kind of put a fire under us, and it worked. And we were really, it really turned out. So, both albums I think are something that I'm proud of, and I don't know if there's more specifics you're looking for. No, the recording experience was amazing. Terry Taylor was.
Yeah, he said you work with Terry Taylor. What was that like? And were you kind of finding your voice at that point as well?
Yeah, I was still kind of hunting a little bit. I think it's. I didn't know what kind of a big deal Terry was. I did, but I didn't. And I'm just. It is
Right.
something that I really appreciate that
Same
he was
here.
involved, because I think that he knew what to do, but he knew how to get it out of us too. And so just working with him was really, really fantastic. And of course, working with Gene, that was fantastic later on as well. And, they were together with Lost Dogs. They all know each other. That's one of the things that was really great is, once we went out to record Magenta, there were times where they were rehearsing Lost Dogs.
It's crazy.
There. And so we're in there at the fireplace and stuff, and there's, everybody's there, Derry and Ruben, just everybody that would be there.
Yeah.
And that's just really cool to see them. And dude, they're fun. They're all so funny together.
That's
funny.
awesome.
They give each other such a hard time. It was cool.
How do you feel about the record looking back on it, on StruggleFish?
There's more on Magenta that I really shine about than the first record, but there are moments on it that I think it's as good as anything we've done. It's something that, I've obviously am proud of it. I think there's stuff. Yeah, there's cringy moments. I mean, if you're not an artist if you don't, that's something you're just you'll always find something wrong with it, and your fans will always want you to play it anyway.
Hey, this is Jeremy with the Rumors Are True podcast. Are you looking to spice up your meals with something real? Introducing Voyager Hot Sauce. Born in Seattle, rooted in the heart of Jalisco, Mexico, and built on community, quality, and excellence. Crafted in fresh small batches with agave nectar for the perfect sweet heat. Voyager is more than just a hot sauce. It's a symbol of gathering, authentic connection, and flavor that brings people together. Whether it's tacos, eggs, pizza, or cocktails, Voyager goes on everything. Head over to VoyagerHotSauce.com to hear their story, explore recipes, and place your order today. Just overall, StruggleFish, I guess, for you, it seems like it was a positive thing, a positive step.
Bill and I were flying out there to meet them ahead of time too. And Tony Shore was the one that was pitching us out there. And so, that was the first time I ever felt like, man, I really am doing what I was hoping to do. Now, I wasn't making a living doing it, but I definitely was, I was making music that was good enough to draw interest from across the country. And it's just, I really felt like, man, we're doing it, Bill. This is happening.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
was just an
That's
exciting
awesome.
time, going out there. And
Totally, man. What were you guys playing shows much other than Cornerstone, or were you playing just around Kansas City, or what was was there touring involved at all?
there was, the little Cornerstone stuff would always happen in town. But then we ended up playing out of town a lot more. Like we played down in Oklahoma, obviously with Tim Cook down there,
Oh, nice, yeah.
who managed us for a little bit. Chicago, there are other places besides just Cornerstone. We would play the places up there. Uh, but yeah, we play, Lawrence, Columbia,
Yeah.
Yeah.
around,
Yeah.
and we'd have different stuff. Like there was one kid who hired us to play his birthday, and they flew us out to Port Angeles
That's
up in
awesome.
Oregon, and it was like five. There's like maybe nine kids there and
Yeah, I
stuff.
went out
They're
to,
old enough,
yep, out to
14, 15.
Seattle,
And yeah,
That's
that was so
incredible.
fun.
That was
That's
What
awesome.
do
so
you remember
cool.
about that, Bill? Bill, sorry, Jim. I'm thinking about Bill. Jimmy,
I
what do you
remember
remember?
it was just a fun experience overall, man, going out there and just
Yeah,
playing, of course, having a backline drum set was, I mean, it was somebody's, garage drum set, I think, but it worked out okay because we had to fly out there. Um, but yeah, I think it was a pretty fun time, man. It was,
That's cool.
we got, going into Seattle, checking all the Jimi Hendrix stuff and, all uh, the fish market and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking the
Yeah.
taking the ferry over to Port Angeles, which was, I mean, everything. It was
Yeah,
just a
and just
great
being in the center
experience
of
overall,
music at the
man.
time,
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
yeah, very cool. Awesome. Well, let's talk about Magenta Manta Love Tree. This is definitely a progression for you guys from StruggleFish, and I definitely feel like this is for a lot of people is probably their favorite record. It's definitely mine of the two. Yeah, let's talk. Phil, bring me through recording this record. It sounds like you're more excited or more prepared for this recording, and just some thoughts, some memories from that time of recording Magenta.
well, that was just, it's just one of those super awesome times in our lives. I mean, the recording studio was in a house, and so they moved us into the house. And so we were staying in the house where we were recording. We buy groceries and cook there, and so we were there. And that was that. It was the green room. It's the
Yeah,
green
green
room.
room. Yeah,
Yeah. And so just being able to, like, I remember going in there by myself one night, and all the lights are out and all the digi lights are on, and I put in, I don't know, I think it was Ritual, yeah, by Jane's Addiction, and cranked it up. And dude, it's just, it just sounded so good. And just doing that kind of thing and experiencing it all, and it was so much fun.
what did you? How did you feel when it was completed? When you heard it like on the mains and it was done? What were your thoughts?
Um, I really think that we all put in, nobody compromised. And I think we were happy with it. Like I said, there's always something that you can do. I know that mixing out and stuff, like, working with Gene Andrusco too. I mean, that was such, I don't even know what that was like.
Yeah,
He would have three different studios going at the same time, and he would have
insane.
mixers at the other ones. And so he would show up with our guy, with his guy he was interning, and he'd be like, no, 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 yes, 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 and pull up all, and then then he'd be gone for an hour going somewhere else, or 2 hours, and then he'd be back, and so he'd have three different recordings going at the same time, switching different places. He
Crazy.
actually, I think he was on almost 300 albums that he worked on,
I believe it.
Christian
I believe
alternative
it.
albums, yeah. And so
It's
that's even
amazing.
just that part of it was so cool,
Yeah, absolutely, man.
funny.
Jimmy, bring me through Magenta Manta from your perspective. What that was like recording that, and of course with Gene, he just mentioned, and maybe memories, thoughts from that time.
I think that all of us have probably the fondest memories of being there with Gene.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because he's so genuine. You know, what you see is what you get. He was authentic, and he let us do whatever we wanted to do. I mean, you have these guys who like A&R guys, or you have these label people that a lot of times will kind of try to push you towards like a certain direction or sound that they
Yeah.
that's in or that's hip or whatever. Gene didn't do that. He heard our tunes. He just was a facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
He really facilitated everything that we wanted to do. I mean, the going through the list of the songs that we wanted to record. I mean, it was almost like he didn't want to. He loved them as much as we did, and he didn't want to cut any of them either. Sort of type thing, and but he also pushed us really hard to get
Mm.
every note, everything, the best performances that we could get out, and he was also very innovative. There is a lot of things, miking techniques, for instance, like for the drums, he did different types of miking techniques, which I hadn't seen before,
Yeah.
and that would come out, really amazing, like a Circle of Pain. He did one big room mic, uh, and overheads. Of course, he had mics on the drums themselves, but what he was trying to do was capture more of that room sound, but
Mm-hmm.
also had a little compression to it, so it made it a lot more in your face and um,
Think. Yeah.
uh, yeah, as opposed to like one of the another like dancing in concert,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
totally completely different sounding as far as drums were concerned. So I really appreciated that, and he really valued our input. I mean, he really asked us about what we liked. As far as either guitar sounds or whatever, or vocals or whatever it was. He really valued and cared about what we cared about, which I think was um, uh, in some ways, I guess maybe a contrast from the Strugglefish, but also maybe it was because we were inexperienced when we did Strugglefish. We didn't know what to ask
Mm-hmm.
or talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So when we got to the Magenta and with Gene, it was just like such an amazing experience. I mean, it was. Uh, I I went out. I think I went out. Um, I went out to mix. No, I went out before. Didn't we go out there twice, Phil?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I think the second time I got to go out like a couple days before everyone else. Um, and I went with Gene. He picked me up at the airport. We went and helped him mix down a song from Die Happy, which
Oh wow.
which was
Nice.
pretty cool. But he was just like one of us, like just like just a super cool guy. Never really just an unassuming, just kind of it was like on the Saturday Night Live, Bruce Dickinson,
I
it's like
put
I
my
put
pants
my
on just
put my
like.
pants on the same just like you guys, but after I put my pants on, I make hit records or whatever, you know. But
That's
he,
awesome.
but he was just like that though, man. He was just the
Sounds like he
coolest.
understood you guys, which I think is
Absolutely, he did.
huge. Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
never, I don't think, and I think Dave and Bill would say the same thing. He never made you feel like, okay, there's something that I really want to happen in this song, but he's just not letting me do it.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? He was like, everything that you had, he knew where to put it, how to put it, give you ideas on what to change it, play it backwards, leave that out. There's always millions of decisions going on the whole time.
Yeah.
And, it just the camaraderie of it too was just really great for us. We could go. Uh, we went out and saw a couple shows while we were there too, and met different people, and
Yeah,
so it was just.
I think we
That's
saw
awesome.
Prayer Chain out there play, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Cool thing is that Dave probably told you that he used Jimmy P. Brown's Mesa
Oh yeah,
Boogie rig and all that stuff. I
that's
thought that
awesome.
was pretty cool.
That's really
And
cool.
I Gene actually got a Yamaha recording custom drum set, uh, which I thought sounded amazing.
Yeah.
And Bill was actually using what's his name, the from oh, what's his name, Cardenas,
Oh,
From
what
Scattered
was it
Great
Field.
from
White, Great
Vengeance?
White's bass player. You know,
Okay.
his bass rig and stuff. But I mean, it was, to me, it was such an amazing experience overall that you know I don't know that I could really even say that anything bad, at
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
about that experience.
Jim, Jimmy, how did you feel about it when you heard it when it's completed, and how do you feel about it now, looking back on it?
Um, I was actually, and I mean, all of us in some way had a hand in helping mix some of the songs. Like we got to go, I think it was like a week or whatever, right? We got to go out and help mix some of the stuff. And I got to sit with Gene and just watch him, and learn how to mix things. I mean, there are times
Mm,
when you get every work on a song for hours, like maybe a song a day or whatever. And to me, I thought, wow, that sounds pretty freaking killer. And then he would tweak around on it for another hour, hour and a half, and get it to sound even better. And I was like, this dude's ears are just freaking amazing. And
mm-hmm.
he did it all himself. It wasn't like he had another engineer guy in there, like
Mm,
turning knobs and stuff to try to get some sounds. He was doing it all himself. And I thought that it was really cool of him to bring us in to to just have the experience of mixing and
that's
things.
cool.
Um, I know that I had to go back before some of the other songs. Like I think "Dancing in Concert" was one of the songs I didn't get to be participate in. But I got "Black Eyed Pea" was one of the songs that I was really happy to be able to sit in with, and in fact,
That was a major mix. That was a
Black Eyed
major
Pea,
mix.
yeah, Black Eyed Pea was crazy because they have on those big consoles. They had the one channel that was for automation, and
Mm,
like right at the very end of that song, the automation drops out. So we had to like prepare and be ready for keeping up all the levels with all of our hands and stuff, trying to
wow.
make sure that it didn't drop out at the very until it was over.
Crazy.
Because at the end, that was a jam, at the end. And so it went a little bit longer than uh, we had planned, but the end result I think was pretty awesome. But when that automation dropped out, it was pretty funny to try to like, okay, to be ready so that because when the automation drops out, all the levels just go down.
Wow.
So you have to keep your fingers on the channels, so it didn't drop. But
Interesting.
yeah,
That's cool.
but
Let me yeah, go
I
ahead.
would
Sorry
say
to cut
though
you off.
I am very proud of that. The second album, I think overall sonically, I think it
Yeah.
really stands up more. And seeing and being uh, in with Gene and how he kind of got these sounds, I think was a huge deal. Um,
Totally.
oh, another thing, fun fact about um, one of the songs. Which one was it? It was uh, oh,
Was
one
it
of
a
these
Black Eyed
songs we
Pea?
worked on. Huh?
Are you
It
talking
was
about
it was actually
other artists?
nope. It was along one of the songs on the album, Slatherage.
Mm,
Um, during that time there was a part where there that sort of breakdown, and it goes into the that sort of breakdown bridge part that Phil's singing, that wearing my heart on my sleeve,
Mm-hmm.
one time coming in, never leave. Um, there is a part, I think it went a little bit too long, and Gene, actually, because we're recording a 2-inch tape, he
Just edit it.
was able to, yeah,
Yeah,
he marked it and spliced it into the exact spots, which I'd never seen before.
that's cool.
I thought that was freaking amazing.
That's so awesome.
Anyway,
That's rad. Let me ask you this: where did the title of the record come from? I've always been curious of that.
That's Bil Brown again.
yep.
He just came up with it. I don't remember all the details. I think I was in the room, but I mean, he just he. I don't know. I don't. Do you remember any other the names we were trying to come up with too?
I don't think so. I think that was probably the thing, because that was sort of a Bill concept.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about it all being, and he may have already said this to you, but the different names in the title sort of represented things.
Oh yeah, I
Like
think he did
color,
say that. Now that you say that,
magenta was
yeah,
color, manta was, like one of the big mantas, in the
yeah,
ocean, which is powerful and could kill
yeah.
you. Um, love, of course, one of the strongest emotion, and tree as far as being more like a rooted and grounded, and growing. Um, I always kind of thought that, at least for me, that's what I recall us kind of talking at one point about that.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And then
You
we had the all the tribal masks and stuff that we did,
oh,
the
I love the
plaster
artwork. Yeah.
plaster cast
So
of
good.
our faces, to do. So
Do you feel like and I'm not like trying to like make it sound like it was a failure or anything, but did it do well or did it not do well in your eyes? Like how did that feel?
Well, the first record, I think we sold what about 11 or 12 thousand copies. And keep in mind, this is all just word of mouth, basically. And then, you know, the label really didn't do a whole lot of promotion. Like they did a couple of spots in a couple of magazines, and the rest was just us out playing. And
Yeah.
then uh, Magenta, I think we sold about 17,000 copies of that. And
Yeah.
then I don't know where we hit on the live album. I kind of don't care. The live album, it is what it is, and that's, you know,
yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that briefly since you brought that up. I mean, you know, obviously, were you just trying to fill your contract, or what was kind of the mindset on,
it,
on doing that?
Yes, I believe
it
so.
was, and it was kind of like a semi impetuous decision. We kind of like, hey, let's record this. And so it was within a month of playing that show that we decided we were going to record it. And so, um, I mean, I know I was not doing so hot in almost any of the Cornerstone shows. I'm allergic to corn, and they're just smack dab in the middle of miles and miles of cornfield, and it's dust, and so everybody's moshing, and it's like the air looks like chocolate milk. You know what I'm saying? It's thick.
Yeah.
So I don't know how great my vocal performance was. It's okay. I'm not like I don't cringe at the whole thing, but I just know that it's it is what it is. With us all saying, I know we could do a lot better if we had more time, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't know what Jimmy thinks about that, but
Yeah, I mean, I think for a live record, it sounds great, and it definitely kind of, like for someone like myself who didn't get to see you guys live, it was cool to like kind of hear that, side
like a
of you guys.
soundtrack to the show,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Jimmy, what do you think about the live record?
Um, I I think it captured a lot of our energy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I agree.
it really captured a lot of what a DHZ show was about, really. Um, The recording itself, I think, was lacking because it was almost in like Phil said, sort of a not necessarily a last minute decision, but when we decided to record and do that, we probably should have had a little bit more as far as pro styled, recording maybe equipment or someone who an actual real sound person that could capture a little bit more of the actual overall sonic what you were hearing there. I mean, because being at the show at a DigHayZoose show, I don't think that translated very well.
Mm-hmm.
Over to the record. Um, because we played loud and hard and um, I think that we left everything out on the stage every night we played,
Sure.
and
Sure.
gave people tried to give them an experience that we would have wanted to see from a band, if we were in attendance,
Yeah.
and he like Phil was saying, he was allergies and stuff were kicking up and everything, but he was giving it everything that he
I
had,
bet.
you know,
That's tough.
and that's what we did though. I mean, I think that show, I actually there was blood on my snare drum because I
Oh
was
gosh.
just pounding, so hard. So,
Jeez
but
Louise.
we just, we really try to always make it an experience for people.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
hearing that. I like the. I was telling Phil before you go. I don't know if you heard, but I think it was cool because I never got to see you guys live. So for me, it was just cool to hear,
Yeah.
what it could have been like, and of course, dealing with the record label and maybe not having the amount of money that you would want to spend, like that they want to spend on something like that. I can get it, but
Yeah.
it still was really cool to kind of have that in your catalog and
Yep.
have at least that kind of final live or not final, but final record, I
Right.
guess, for you guys. Let's talk about the Browbeat song, Keep Me in Mind. I absolutely love this song. So unique for you guys, so different than what, Magenta or, I guess I could hear it in some of the StruggleFish as well, but such an awesome song and such a great comp. It's an incredible comp. Kind of bring me
Yep.
through recording that, what that was like, and your viewpoint on that song.
I'm just saying, Gene proposed that. So he's like, "Hey, you guys want to be on this comp thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, but I need a song in 3 weeks." I'm like, "Okay." And I'm not sure where, Jim. Where did we record that? Was that Mine's Ear?
And that was at BEC, I think. That place downtown.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And
You guys recall that, right?
I think that song was something that we had ideas and stuff, but we went up there and really put it together almost on the spot as we were recording it. Like all the little
You know,
and all that stuff in the background, that was all like
Yeah.
came up with that as we were recording. So I mean, it's kind of like a good picture of like, okay, here's the tools. What are you gonna paint? What are you gonna sculpt? What are you gonna make? And that's what we made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it was
I wrote
that
the, you
song.
know,
I would say that song too was um, really just almost provided to us in some way because uh, it almost wrote itself a lot. I
That's so
mean,
cool.
yeah.
because I remember we actually, I think, Phil, didn't we end up just writing it and then the night before, really almost, and we went in the next day and recorded it.
That's
Well, the
insane.
Lord. I mean,
Right, exactly. I was gonna say it. If you have that sort
I'm
of
so
inspiration,
yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad God let me be involved. He just laid it out. If you listen to what that song is about, it's just God saying, "Hey, buddy, I really do love you."
Mm-hmm.
It's really where it's coming from.
That's so
Even
cool.
if you want to fight me, I'll still be here. Come on back.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Did you guys get up a copy of? I know they put it on vinyl recently. Did you guys get a copy of that?
I haven't seen that.
I
No.
haven't.
Yeah.
No, I haven't gotten it.
You should check it out. It's I think it's on Girder Music. I think I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll
Anyway,
check it out.
I'll send you guys a link. It's really cool. And it's on purple vinyl. It's really awesome.
Awesome.
I was really happy to get involved with Adele Meisenheimer and get all of our stuff
Oh, that's so
put
cool.
onto all the streaming platforms, at least,
Very cool.
So
That's
I
awesome.
appreciate you, Jimmy.
yeah, I was thankful
Cool.
that we were able to do that.
Heck yeah.
And then the other thing I was thinking about is the Steve Taylor tribute that we did.
Oh, that's right. You did that. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. So what song did you guys do?
Want to be a clone?
That's right.
And Steeplechase.
And then we
did both of them.
Yeah, it was like a double. That's right.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. I mean, you guys mentioned meeting him earlier in Nashville. I'm sure that, and it sounds like he was an influence on you guys as well, just in terms of like your,
huge.
Just,
Absolutely,
it's evident. What was that like, kind of being able to be on that comp?
That was very cool. And, it's just, you meet him and you just feel like that guy runs at a higher speed than me. It's like he's just a doer and he just goes and goes and goes.
Yep.
Super nice.
That same way with
Super
like
nice.
Gene, same sort of
Yeah.
thing. Those guys that are just like always
different
on.
world, different planet. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's awesome.
I thought it was cool. That was one of the. I briefly had an endorsement with CNC Drums.
Oh, cool.
And that was one of the first time that I actually used a CNC prototype kit to record on that song.
That's awesome.
It wasn't like the CNC drums you see today, of course, but because Bill Cardwell was sort of getting into that crafting drums and things, and so the MagentaMantaLoveTree, or not that, but the concert, the Cornerstone concert, the Ascension album, I guess. I played a CNC drum set there. So the drums that you hear on the Ascension 7 record was a CNC drum set. Anyway.
Oh, cool. Very cool. That's awesome. Well, let's talk about the end of the band from you guys' perspectives. Let's go with you first, Phil. What kind of led to the dissolution of the band? And from your perspective, it just kind of, what that was like kind of ending the band?
Well, it was the deal. I think Dave has since mentioned his, he just is a driven person. And so if he doesn't feel like something is lining up, he'll just hop up and start something else. And that's really kind of what happened is, he just, I don't know if he saw us. I don't know how he saw us, and there's all kinds of stuff that happens with people and everything. But just that idea, I think that it wasn't moving fast enough for him. And so he just kind of just jumped. And, we stayed together. Bill and I and Jimmy recorded an album after that called Infrared.
Yeah.
And it was one album.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's one album. And then Zoop, who is Bill's best friend, like I talked about, he was the guitar player. And so basically it was like DigHayZoose with Zoop on guitar. So you could say DigHayZoose. It was kind of like DigHayZoose.
DigHayZoose.
My son coined that phrase, I'll have to say.
I love that.
But if I honestly, and Jim, I don't know where you're at, but if I had to pick one record that I was the most proud of, it'd probably be that one. And I really wish it would have got out where people could have heard it more.
Infrared, I think it was a good representation of, I think, the direction we were kind of heading in.
Yeah.
And it was more.
But that was it. It was just
more well written and polished, I think, a lot.
Yeah.
But for me, I think that a lot of bands are like families.
Sure, relationships, yeah.
Relationships, and sometimes they run their course, and no matter kind of how you want to keep it together, if one person isn't on board fully, and that's what a band typically has to be, is like everyone has to be bought in. And I think that we all were, up until, like Phil was sort of mentioning, that Dave started having some doubts about what he was wanting to do, and kind of wanting to maybe go in another direction. Um, and there, I mean, uh, and that's maybe a simple way of trying to put it, but it's kind of like, um, there were a lot of other things against us as well, because, like, we fulfilled our obligation to the record label, so we were no longer a headed label, and so trying to shop, a new project was really difficult, like Phil was saying, then to try to get any interest, you know, to continue. And that's when, when you have some, even if it was a minor bit of success, like we uh, kind of experienced, um, once you get there, then, and you go all the way back down again to having, you know, starting all over again. I
That's
think
daunting.
it,
Yeah.
it it's really, really difficult. And honestly, though, we were all moving in some way in different directions at that point, you
Yeah.
know, a lot of personal struggles and things, I would say too, that
Sure.
kind of ended in part of that, especially for me. So,
Yeah.
but
No, I get that, man. That's thanks for being vulnerable about that, guys. I know that's sometimes not always an easy question, but it sounds like you guys are obviously excited about just the fact of what you were able to accomplish. I think it's cool, and it kind of alludes to my next question: legacy of the band, the impact of the band, kind of just from your perspectives. Like, what? How do you feel? How do you view the band in a legacy format? Go ahead, Jimmy.
um, I think that it was, we were in uh, in the time period, the time frame there, when all of those sort of things were changing. We were sort of in some sense, with a lot of the, let's say, LSU and the
Mm-hmm.
uh, Savior Machine and Adam Again and a lot of these other bands, Prayer Chain. We were all involved. It was kind of that same feeling in Christian alternative music that we were getting in secular music. There was, all of a sudden, you had all these gigantic bands, Pearl Jam and Chili Peppers and Smashing Pumpkins,
Mm-hmm.
and all these bands all come out at the same time in the same year, at least their albums were released. And then we also were coming out with our music, but again, there were also other great Christian alternative bands too at the same time, and it was kind of like exploding in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm just pretty thankful to have been in that, kind of
Totally.
included in some of that.
That's awesome, man. I love hearing that. I mean, you guys are definitely, in my opinion, extremely influential in a lot of ways. In terms of like the metal, and like you said, still kind of the funkness, the alternativeness of it all. Yeah, my buddies and I used to listen to your records all the time, so it's like, we got it, we understood it, and we liked that it was different.
Hmm.
Phil, yeah, your thoughts on legacy and the impact of the band.
Well, hopefully, you know, our drives come from what we learn and what we see. And so being driven to do music, it comes out from your culture and what's in you. You see it, and then you're like, that's what I want to do. Well, to be
Mm,
able to have the desire and then push through and practice and then get involved with people in it and actually create something that you can hold up and say, hey, this is an album we made. It has art and music and everything. It's to be able to do that, and then it being centered on Christ. It's something that's an eternal thing. I mean, music is God's. He invented it, and it's something that, to me, I mean, I know that, you know, some of these songs will be used after Christ comes back to praise him in heaven. I'm hoping, it's like, that's my joy comes to the fact that he chose me to use me, to involve me. And I'm grateful that we worked hard enough to put something out to where I would hold it up to anybody. I wouldn't matter if it was a Christian or non-Christian or whatever, and say, well, listen to this and tell me what you think. And I think it stands up.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, are you good all the time? No. Are there times where you weren't doing it with the right motives? Yeah. But it started, middle, and ended on, what does Jesus think about this? Can we lift up his name? Who can we reach out with on this to show that Christians are thinking artist people? We have culture and we have thoughts and we have something to offer,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, guys. I love hearing that. I definitely think, like, kind of from my perspective, at least, like I said, it was just, you guys were different. And I think that's what I liked the most about you guys. It was not your norm. And, I would throw you guys in with the LSUs and the Adam McGinns and all that stuff being, makes sense why you guys were definitely a lot more creative than a lot of the
Oh, we
metal bands
can't
at the
can't forget
time.
the choir and
Yes. And the choir.
the
Absolutely.
throws and
Oh yeah.
77s and all those guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I definitely would throw you guys in with those, just artistically, just so much different than many others. So yeah, I'm grateful that my buddies and I, like I said, got to discover you guys, and it was really cool.
Scattered
Yeah.
few too.
So
Hey,
yeah.
real
Oh
quick.
yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
Jimmy,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Jimmy. Hey, I just
yeah.
want to tell you, I've been listening to that infrared. Your
Uh-huh.
work on that album is amazing. You know that, right? You
Um,
Aw.
just
You
destroy
said
on that album.
some.
Funk,
That's
metal,
awesome.
well, I'm
everything.
gonna
It
have to go
just
back and listen to
destroys.
it
That
again.
album is so good. You know it?
You guys got to put it on Spotify or something.
Well, maybe we'll try it. We'll see.
Do it. Make it happen,
Get it up
guys.
and out.
Yeah. So,
Bill finally
I
got
asked
us
Bill and
copies.
Dave. I asked Bill and Dave what would it be like if you got Magenta Manta Love Tree pressed on vinyl? How would that make you guys feel?
That'd be
it
very
would be
cool.
awesome. I've actually looked into it a little bit.
Have you?
Yeah.
You
I
guys
was
should do that. I think that would be really cool.
I was talking to one of the guys at Low Fidelity,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and the problem is it depends on how many pressings we could get, and it's going to be a double album, which is going to cost more.
yes, that's
So,
true.
um, that would be, as far as trying to do a Kickstarter and stuff. I don't know how much attention or support we could garner to try to do something. I'd love to do it,
Yeah,
but I just don't know how feasible it would be. But if
yeah,
you hear from other people and think maybe we could get some enough support to press a few hundred copies or something, that
yeah,
might be worth it.
absolutely. I definitely will keep my eyes open. I definitely think it would be cool on super hot pink. It's got to be
Yep,
it's got to
yep.
be that pink.
We that's actually how I got started with getting everything onto the streaming services. So
Oh, cool.
was talking to the lo-fi people and hooked me up with Adele. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Frontline.
That's really
So
cool.
yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, I know you guys can't predict the future, but what do you think the future looks like for you guys individually? Let's go with you, Phil, first.
I'm just gonna keep selling windows and uh, just writing songs. And I don't know, we may be out playing here and there, whatever. We're just doing it for fun now, and so it's just
Selling propane
be
and propane
living it out.
accessories.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No doubt.
I love that. That's
Uh,
awesome, Phil. I love hearing that, man. Jimmy, tell me what the future looks like for you.
yeah, I'm kind of job I'm very fulfilled in, being like I said, a nurse, diabetes. I've actually run the diabetes education department at the Lawrence Hospital here, LMH. So I do that. That's my day job. But I'm kind of being like the Sultans of Swing. I mean, doing our weekend shows and whatnot, and just being able to sort of kind of do my thing and scratch that itch. Because when you're a musician, I mean, you always have to play. I mean, it's kind of one of those innate things that if you don't, you have to have an outlet to do that. And I think some of the most unhappy, unfulfilled times in my life were when I wasn't able to play or out to be able to do those things. And so
What did Mark Knopfler
that's
say?
you
What
know
did Mark Knopfler say? He said, "Saving it up for Friday night."
for Friday night. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's about that. I mean, as long as I can, I will play in one way or another, and just I just it's what I'll just continue doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And saving lives, of course,
Heck
being
yeah.
taking care of these diabetics. So
That's awesome. Well, let's get a DigHayZoose reunion in soon, a show. That'd be kind of cool. I think that'd be
well,
awesome.
that would be cool. It'd kind of be up to the guys.
Well,
I'm sure Phil and I would be down for it. It would just be
Yeah.
if Dave. I mean, I think Dave's the kind of biggest factor in all that.
yeah.
So
Well, you never know. Be kind of interesting to see you guys get back on the saddle at least one more time. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, and
yeah, that'd be
So,
awesome.
with yep, very cool.
The I think I want to say a couple of years ago, I actually went and played a couple of tunes, Hate Machine and um, like maybe Black Eyed Peas or something. And after I played them, I thought, I can't believe that I actually played these songs back, because I was worn out because I wasn't in playing shape
oh, I'm
anymore.
sure
But
I
I was
can.
just
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
how just I guess in playing when you're in playing shape, I guess it's different.
Well,
But
when you're younger too, you
I
have all the
just
energy in the world.
how hard and fast and things that I played on some of those songs, I was like, wow, I cannot believe that's actually me playing the drums on there. You know,
That's amazing.
but
Awesome. Well, Phil and Jimmy, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's really been an awesome conversation. I've really been looking forward to, and I know we've had a lot going on in life, and I'm glad we got to nail it down. But really appreciate all the music you guys have been involved in over the years, and just kind of what the influence you guys have had on me. And I mentioned my friends as well, but just thank you guys for being awesome dudes and being a part of a band that really kind of was very special for a lot of people. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and hope to maybe see you guys in the future at some point in person. That'd be really cool. Hey listener, thank you for tuning in again and again. I really appreciate it, guys, so thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to add me on Instagram and Facebook at the Rumors Are True Cast, if you'd like to like and subscribe, you know the drill. So thank you again for that. Thank you to Phil Schlotterer and Jimmi Florez from the band DigHayZoose. Super honored to have you guys on and hear your perspective of the past, of course, and your upcoming future. So again, thank you to Phil and Jimmy. Got some incredible artists on the horizon, guys, and you know it, nostalgia is still a heck of a drug. The podcast is produced by Wesley Hill, artwork by Jared Chase Bowser, and music by Brian Jaron. This episode is dedicated to the memory of my dear friend, producer, and man of many talents, Brian Jaron.